Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, whenever it is that you are actually watching this Trek report from the 318 Way. This is indeed Dustin DeVore, and I am so excited to be able to share with you the 318 Way Trek report number 3. And the reason that I am so excited is twofold. One is in the last 48 hours or so, I've come down with a cold. So I am sounding a little bit different, but I am so glad that I am able to present to you this third episode of the 318 Way Trek Report. And therefore, I am really glad I have the ability to do this today. And it is the third one, so I'm providing you with the consistency to be able to do this, and I am so excited to do it. And with it being the third one, I am thrilled to be able to bring to you this topic today that deals with not only the 318 Way, but also with something that impacts the workplace. Gen Z is one of the 5 generations that literally is in the workplace. Tim Elmore has written about this concept of how do we lead all 5 generations in the workplace. He has also written a brand new book that is coming out this week, and it deals in particular with understanding Gen Z. We'll talk more about Tim Elmore in a little bit later time frame in the podcast. But I really want to welcome all of you back to the 318 Way Trail Report. If you were here last week, we explored one of the hardest but most essential words in leadership. It deals with integrity. We walked with our old patriarch of Job, and we listened to the sharp, almost biting, sarcastic voice of his quote-unquote friend, Zophar. And his friend, one of the 3 who visits Job to try and offer some compassion, some understanding, some form of sympathy. Some form of sympathy. Yeah, right, Zophar. And Zophar pointed directly at Job in Job 11, 1 through 6. And he ends the verses by saying, know this. And we learned that integrity isn't built in comfort. It's proven in the fire. Tonight, I want to take it one step further, or one step deeper, as some would say. Because integrity doesn't stand alone. It's part of something bigger, something that keeps us grounded in life. When life starts to just shake and rattle and, well, for the old expression, roll. There's something that starts to form on us when those type of life situations happen. It's called wisdom. And when we left Job, his world was still literally, upside down. His life had not been restored yet. He was still very much so hurting. He was still very much so misunderstood. And to put it mildly, he was in a pile of ashes. His life was down in the dumps. His life was completely trashed because his sores were extreme. His life was miserable. Everything was taken away from him, even his health, his family, everything. He was literally sitting in the dirt and the ashes, and his health was literally destroyed, but his life was still intact. And he was wrestling with God, literally going back and forth in agony and deep laments. And he was waiting on God for God to speak. And into that silence, Mr. Zophar says, "Oh, that God would show you the secrets of wisdom." But here's the thing. Zophar wanted God to speak against Job, totally against him. And Job was learning how to listen for God. Job demanded, or Zophar, I should say, demanded answers and immediacy. Job was learning how to listen for God and was developing awareness. And that's where wisdom really lives. Not in quick answers, but in quiet awareness. You see, wisdom isn't something you can just grab a hold of. It's something you grow into. It comes as we slow down, open our hearts, and allow truth to unfold over time. That's why I like to call it a deep dive devotion. The process of relaxing the noise, so cutting it out, reflecting on what's true, and letting it rejuvenate our perspective. It's not about every detail of scripture or history, but though I love both of them dearly, okay, let me not underestimate the value of understanding scripture and understanding history, because otherwise we're doomed to repeat history. It's about learning to listen until the word becomes alive in you and deeply in you. Some would say until it soaks into your heart. Some would say until it soaks into your bosom or your soul. And here's the part that I think our generation and every generation needs to rediscover. We do not have to rush the process of our growth. We do not have to perform for our faith to actually have faith. We just need to be present with what God is doing right here, right now. And we have to be willing to take that next step and let the Lord show up. Take that next step, let him show up. That's the heartbeat of the movement we call the 318 way. It's not transactional, it's transformational. It's not about perfection, it's about the process. And tonight, I want to invite you into that experience, the process of it all for yourself. So take a breath. Wherever you are right now, maybe you're driving, maybe you're walking, maybe you're winding down after a long day. Let's slow down together. Let's relax, reflect, and rejuvenate. And let's see what the secrets of wisdom might have to teach us. Now, after we've taken a little bit of a pause there, as to what we've just reflected on, those secrets of wisdom, and what it means to grow through life's fire, I want to bring it real close to home. Because what we're doing here at the 318 Way isn't theory. It's happening in real time, right now, in the lives of the people that we are working with. Because in the past week, I can say that I've seen something that reminded me of why we do what we do here at the 318 Way. There's a young woman named Lexi in the Constitutional Live group that we are presently working with for our mastermind, that when she came into the group, she was soaking everything in, not quite sure where she knew to fit into the conversation. But she quickly found her voice. Week by week, she kept adding into the conversation. And what I watched unfold is nothing short of wisdom meeting courage. She's not just learning about the principles of liberty. She's learning how to lead with conviction, with clarity, and with grace. You see, week 1 or 2, and now we're into week 7, this coming Saturday, she said to the group that she was eager to learn, and she came to Constitutional Live via TPUSA just after Charlie Kirk's death. And she really had a burden to reach that next generation. Yet she knew that she didn't know a lot about the Declaration of Independence, the 56 men who signed it, or much about the Constitution. But yet she knew she was supposed to learn and then share the information. That was week 1 or 2. Now, fast forward to week 6, she reported that she met with one friend who met with another friend who met with another friend, and now they have 20 different women, and Lexi is in her upper 20s, getting ready to be married next year. And now they have 20 different women who are banded together to not only do a Bible study, but also look at doing constitutional defense through Patriot Academy, because Lexi is now herself a Patriot Academy coach. And they have also formed a TPUSA chapter to work with TPUSA there locally in their state of Georgia. And Lexi is also expanding into Beyond Success, which we'll talk about here in this podcast as well, because she has a burden to work with the next generation. Again, she is not just learning about the founding principles of liberty. She's learning how to lead with conviction, with clarity, and with grace. That's what we mean when we talk about leading the next generation. It's not about giving them rules to follow. It's about helping them recognize their voice of wisdom inside their own story. It's what happens when someone relaxes enough to listen, reflects long enough to understand, and then steps forward, rejuvenated, ready to lead. Yes, there's a lot going on here at the 318 Way. That's just one of the things. As I mentioned, Constitution Alive, the Mastermind, is in its 7th week. And in the 6th week, we understood the role of the executive branch and had a great hour-long discussion afterwards about that topic taught by Rick Green of Patriot Academy and David Barton of Wall Builders. What a fun discussion it was. We still have about 5 seats left, and if you want to join in, check the link below in the description, because we also do have replays available in the private group on Facebook. Now, none of you should try to find that private group on Facebook, because you won't get in without joining the mastermind. Hint, hint. Now, another mastermind that we have coming up here in the 318 Way is the Beyond Success Mastermind. This mastermind is a great opportunity to understand what it means to move beyond success. It is gaining traction because there are people that are wanting to do this mastermind with me. More people are wanting to know about the 7 series mastermind with John Maxwell, who is the #1 leadership expert in the world. He has written over 125 books on the topic. He has partnered with Tim Elmore to help lead the next generation, especially Gen Z, as I've mentioned. But the 7 principles that are covered in the mastermind are attitude, personal growth, priorities, relationships, my most important relationship, from good intentions to good actions, and from success to significance. And it is done around a very interactive discussion process known as a transformation table. And it usually takes 60 to 90 minutes per week. Let's watch a video by Ray Popham. He is the director of the Beyond Success program run through the Maxwell Leadership Foundation. And he explains the program incredibly well. Let me share that video with you, because I believe Ray is an exceptional explainer of the mastermind and the opportunity you have to be a part of not only being in the mastermind, but to actually be a facilitator with it.
Hi, I'm Ray Popham, and I want to share with you an exciting transformational leadership movement from EQUIP, a nonprofit leadership development organization that was founded by Dr. John C. Maxwell. We call this transformational leadership movement Beyond Success. Beyond Success is a personal and leadership development journey, and it's designed to help people like you learn, live, and lead with good values. The journey happens around a success table that involves 6 to 8 participants. And years of experience has shown us that transformation happens better when it's around a table instead of a row of chairs. In each of the 7 sessions of the Beyond Success journey, participants are introduced to the values and the principles that are central to a successful life. These include attitude, personal growth, priorities, relationships, my most important relationship, moving from good intentions to more intentional living, and moving beyond success to a life of significance. In each session, participants are introduced to the value, and it starts with a video from John Maxwell where he introduces the topic of that session. And then it's followed by a time of learning, interaction, and discussion. Participants are able to assess and discuss how the value is currently showing up in their life and leadership, along with exploring new ways so that they can better live out that value and that principle. And at the end of every week's session, participants choose a specific action step that they'll immediately put into their life and their leadership so that they can live out that value. The Beyond Success initiative is currently helping hundreds of thousands of people around the world live more successful lives and be more successful leaders. And an exciting dimension of Beyond Success is the opportunity to become part of the movement and take the program to others as what we call a Beyond Success facilitator. Once a participant completes the 7 sessions, they're offered the opportunity to complete training as a facilitator and use the tools and the resources to lead others through the Beyond Success tables. And the best part, it's all free. The program, the training, the tools, and the resources. Beyond Success tables can be done anywhere. Your community, your business, your office, your school, your church, a small group, a governmental office, or around your dinner table. If you want more information or would like to join an upcoming Beyond Success table, or you're interested in becoming a facilitator, reach out to us and let one of our team answer your questions and get you connected to this transformational leadership movement that we call Beyond Success.
Stay tuned to my website, the318way.com, which is coming to a location near you very soon. Matter of fact, that's one of my updates that I'm going to be talking about in just a second. The Beyond Success Mastermind is indeed gaining traction, and I encourage you to be a participant. I will be explaining that more in depth on my website, which is indeed coming out this week. And it's so critical right now that this mastermind is coming out as a part of my overall programming, because the next generation needs this type of programming, as we all do. But the Lead the Next Generation pathway, one of the main pathways that I have, also has 108 hours of training backed up with the DISC programs that are specifically for that generation, which I'll be explaining more about on my website this week as it rolls out. But the masterminds for the ages of 13 to 25 take them on a series of studies to help them understand what it even means to have hope, because I want to help other people excel. And that spells hope. Another study that I have with this group, especially this group, is to help them put together a personal growth plan so that they understand what it means to actually grow beyond just their academics. Because a lot of people, the documentation proves, don't even pick up a book beyond academics or beyond high school to understand what it means to actually become a person who is a continual learner. And therefore, I help them put together growth plans to actually become an emotionally strong person, one who is socially aware. Another study I have in this group of masterminds is one that takes the social pressures of the day, bullying in its various forms, and helps them interpret it and how to actually grow strong through it. Another one beyond that is literally 21 indispensable qualities of a leader, which is a huge character study. And when you understand how character is developed, you can then become a strong person of character and become a person of strong influence. Now, beyond that, I have one that has 34 hours of study to it that comes straight out of John Maxwell's Leadership 101, or his, not Leadership 101, but his collection of the 101 series, which includes Relationships 101, where you can learn about how to actually have proper relationships and what that looks like, how to actually equip yourself and how to equip others with not only proper attitudes that benefit not only yourself, but those around you, to which then you can lead yourself and those around you. That's a 34-hour study. And then on top of that, I have much more in that leadership track of leading the next generation. We here at the 318 Way are definitely poised to help that next generation. And as Tim Elmore says, that next generation feels, yes, they are 26 years old and they have a ton of knowledge. They know how to access things quickly with AI. They are empowered by social media. And so, yes, they seem older because there are 26, but really they're like 18 in social skills and in the soft skills. And that's where we get the Gen Z stare from. But Tim Elmore in the latest Maxwell Leadership Podcast talks about how we can actually work with them and help them literally lead the revival because we can value them. And we'll talk more about that in just a minute as well. The last update that I want to bring you, I've mentioned it already, is that our website is indeed this close to coming out. We have just a few last tweaks that we need to do, and we will get it out. I'm working closely with my wife on the last little bit of tweaks that we have to do. I need to get her another document that we're going to be able to give out on the website and a couple of other little things that we need to do yet. But we are so excited about being able to release the website to you. And trust me, follow us on any of our social media, search for us under the 318way.com, and you'll be able to find our website and all of our social media links. You will indeed know it's out, because honestly, this has been our first build that we've ever done. Shannon, with her limited code knowledge at the beginning, has expanded tremendously to build this website, and with me helping her out with some of the ideas that I originally had, it has been a work in progress ever since we started this process. But you will see all 4 of our pathways: lead yourself, lead your home, lead the next generation, and lead in the world. It's a blessing to have gone through this process and to literally release it very soon this coming week. So stay tuned for that. The stories like Lexi's and building into our pathways, building into Beyond Success, building into constitutional defense, building into biblical citizenship, it's all a part of the 318 Way movement. But it also puts a huge question in front of us as leaders. We see the potential, but how do we help Gen Z unlock it? how do we bridge that gap between the information that we have and the wisdom that that age group needs? This week, I did indeed find some incredible answers in a place that I often go look for leadership wisdom. And that is the John Maxwell Leadership Podcast. And as I was listening to the Maxwell Leadership Podcast this week, I was not shocked that Mark Cole was on it, because it's Mark Cole's podcast, because he leads the Maxwell leadership team. I was not too shocked to find that John Maxwell was on it, because John Maxwell, well, the Maxwell leadership team is his organization. He's the founder. But I was so blessed that John Maxwell was there, because Tim Elmore was actually there as well. Tim Elmore has worked with John for 40 some years, helping to reach that next generation. And the insights that Tim Elmore has in working with Gen Z are so powerful that I wanted to share them with you for this podcast. And Tim Elmore describes what he calls the Peter Pan paradox. And it's what I feel really is kind of behind that Gen Z stare. Gen Z has this incredible, in a sense, authority-like aspect to them, because they know how to use technology. They know how to use AI. And honestly, sometimes it's for the better, sometimes it's not. It's kind of like a magical thing to the rest of us. That's why Tim Elmore calls it the Peter Pan syndrome. At the same time, though, their emotional state and social maturity can be delayed. That's why he says 26 is now the new 18. And our first instinct as leaders might be frustration. But John Maxwell quickly reframes this in the podcast and says that before we do anything else with this age group, we need to learn how to value them. Because if you don't value them, you'll never invest in them. Because you can't guide somebody who you don't really value. This means we have to shift from making assumptions about them to asking them questions. For example, we might assume that a young person who wants to leave the job right at 5 o'clock doesn't like to work. But in the podcast, they shared a story about a young woman who did that because she had to race from one job to a second job to support her family. Our assumptions are often wrong in these modern days. And we have to stop ourselves from assuming things and ask questions. Tim Elmore put it this way in a powerful framework for having these tough conversations, for giving feedback. He calls it the A.L.E.G model. First, you must ask. Ask about their thought process, because this makes them feel valued. Then you must actually truly listen, not just with your ears, but with your heart, because this makes them feel heard, which means you have to be present. Next, you have to actually empathize, not sympathize. No, empathize. Show them you understand their feelings. This makes them feel understood. And then, only after then, because you've built the bridge of trust, have you earned the right to actually guide them. So again, ask, listen, empathize, and guide them. This is the revelational leadership side, not transactional. It's about building a bridge, not a badge. Because if you just have a badge, then you're an authority figure. But if you're a revelational leader, you're basing it on relationship, and you're building that relationship strong before you're trying to just enforce a policy. In the podcast, they also go on and talk about the mental health challenges that this generation faces. They're being overwhelmed with thousands of messages a day. In the podcast, they offer 4 simple practical things we can encourage as leaders. Ironically, they all start with M. The first one is margin. Help them build unstructured, quiet time into their day. A practice that we all need to do and that we need to do consistently. The second one that I truly need to practice a lot of, is movement. Encourage physical activity to get the endorphins flowing. Being the one that I love to research and develop material and to write and to think a lot, I need to encourage myself to have movement a lot during the day as well, to keep those endorphins flowing. Third, one area that I hang out in quite a bit is actually the mindfulness aspect of things. Teach them to focus on one thing at a time and to be present. Not to always think of the future, which I do a lot, but to actually be present in the moment, which is definitely a coaching practice. Number 4 is management. Help them learn to manage their own mental health and well-being, especially their emotional well-being. Again, those 4 things: margin, movement, mindfulness, and management. This isn't really about coddling the next generation at all. It's about equipping them. It's about recognizing the reality of the world they've grown up in. And that's part of what Henry Cloud talks about in being able to have integrity, is understanding the reality of the world in which we live in. Then it is about equipping them with the tools to thrive in it. This is how we help them turn all of the information that they're given into true wisdom. Friends, as we wrap up today's podcast, I want to bring us back to where we started. From our old patriarch Job, with his profound humility in the face of overwhelming challenge, to Lexi's inspiring courage as she steps into that next role to lead that next generation, to the insights from John Maxwell and Tim Elmore onto how to truly connect with Gen Z, to the inspiring aspects of joining a Beyond Success Mastermind, to the thread that weaves all of this together. Leadership is still about the same exact thing. It's about hearing before speaking, serving before shining. It's about leading from revelation, not reaction. So I want to leave you with a challenge for this week. Am I leading from revelation or reaction? Am I wearing a badge or building a bridge. Take some time this week to truly reflect on it. If this message speaks to you, if you feel that something is stirring in you to grow into a leader who can guide the next generation, not by control, not by force, not by just dictatorial power, but by compassion, then I invite you to truly join us. Visit the 318 Way when it comes out this week in the live environment to find our new coaching pathways. Or reach out to learn more about just joining our complimentary Beyond Success Mastermind. Because here at the 318 Way, we don't just lead others. We walk with them through the fire toward meaning. And until next time, remember our signature sign-off, a philosophy that has guided us for years here at the 318 Way. Relax, reflect, and rejuvenate. Until next time, see you later. God bless, and have a great week.